My career essentially is all around finance and accounting, and I've been in banking for most of my life. However, in 2016, I decided to take a different view and join a sector that I've never done before, which is tourism. And for a good 5 years, I really plowed myself into that sector and got to know it quite intimately. Um, I have to truly say I had a beautiful canvas, and the canvas was South Africa. South Africa is very easy to sell to the world. At times, we just don't notice what we have in this country, the uniqueness, that diversity, the changes, and everything else there, and just how wide and big our country is. I like to kind of tell my European counterparts that Kruger National Park, which is a zoo in our view, is as big as Israel or Belgium, as an example. It just kind of gives you a sense of the space that is there. So, really having the honor of selling South Africa, profiling to the world, was really, really quite an honor to do. Sure, where do I start with that one? So, in 2019, before the pandemic, I had an afro. Look at me now, I've got no hair, essentially. Look, I mean, travel and tourism, we're in the business of moving people around. And unfortunately, that is exactly what the virus needed, especially in its early days. It transmitted itself by people moving around. So essentially, I always say for the greater good of humankind, of greater good of the country, we really had to suspend our operations as tourism. This applied both to leisure activities and also importantly the business side, business events, conferences, gatherings, etc., and everything else in that regard. Globally, we all dealt with a card that none of us could ever predict. We essentially had to make decisions literally on the fly, as and when we got new information coming through as well. The key thing, however, what it did, it really highlighted the importance of collaboration and coordination amongst the tourism sector. I really saw the South African tourism industry getting together, looking for solution, understanding its plight, constant communication as well was quite critical and key to kind of get ourselves moving. Are we over it? Well, the answer is we don't know. What this has taught us is that we are always continuously learning and evolving. And, you could set the environment in your particular space all that you want. South Africa could get its act together. However, if our traveling partners around the world are not equally either equipped or responsive as well, that is a problem, and we find ourselves in this environment right now where the Omicron strain, I think we've handled it and are handling it quite well as South Africa, but our major travel partners, when I look at the US, when I look at Europe, when I look at Asia, they're having a much, much more difficult time to kind of get through it. We had to devise a strategy to say, well, let's look through this and say, well, what does recovery look like? And one of the key things that we came up with was that our recovery will be slow, but it will be led inside out, starting off with domestic tourism, regional tourism, then ultimately international. And we've seen, domestic tourism really coming to the fore and assisting this sector really come together. Oh, absolutely not. I think it's just beginning. It's the start. And I think it's the accumulation of one's experiences and really taking them to the next level. For the first time in my life, I'm involved in business from an equity perspective as a shareholder and owner, essentially. And, the future of tourism for South Africa is really bright. We are shooting way below our weight in terms of what we can do. We can easily double the number of visitors, both internationally and domestically in this country. So therefore, the upside, the headroom is really there. With the Dream Resorts Group, we really aim to really hit the missing middle, as we call it. The affordable luxury traveler, the 3-star, 4-star time of market that is group travel, that is family travel as well, that is accessible, as I say, internationally as well. We see the space as having a lot of capacity And, you know, we want to do great things with the Dream Group. Great bunch of guys, great bunch of colleagues, as it were. And watch your space, all I can tell you.